Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to week 6 of Go Healthy Plus. I hope everyone's having a great day. As you can see here from the slide, your 6th tracker is due today. So if you haven't submitted your tracker, please make sure you do that by the end of the day so you can get credit for that. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to remove my camera so you can focus on the PowerPoint, and I will pop back on during the question section, okay? So today we're going to start off discussing the success that you had from last week's action steps. We're also going to discuss the topic of meal planning. We'll then answer discussion questions. I think there are 2 discussion questions, and then we'll finish up introducing the week's action steps, next week's topic, and then giving you a reminder about next week's tracker, okay? Of course, as we go along, if you do have questions or comments, you can unmute your mic, you can send me a chat or whatever. So last week's action steps was to focus on both the high quality foods and the quantity of foods. Just to go back, those high quality foods would be ones that include those unrefined or minimally processed foods, such as your veggies, your whole fruits, your whole grains, your low-fat, fat-free dairy products, those healthy fats like you find in fish and in nuts and seeds, and also those healthy sources of protein that we talked about several weeks ago, okay? And also we talked about quantity of food. Of course, in this class, we use the Guide to Smart Food Choices, which is based on the calorie density of foods that you can use that guide or that specific calculation to help you select the lower calorie foods within all the food groups without having to count calories. However, if you want to have more of a specific number to shoot for as far as calories a day, that's what we talked about last week, okay? So my question is, what changes since last week have you made with either the quality of your foods that you're choosing and or the quantity of your foods? Maybe you're cutting back on certain types of foods as far as portion control, or maybe you've decided to start calculating and monitoring calories. So anybody want to chime in on that? Any changes since last week that you've made with your quality of food choices and or the quantity of your foods? And again, you can send a chat, you can unmute your mic. I think I see some bubbles working in the chat area. Let me see if something pops up before we move on. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, Tor said, she said actually she noticed not logging her foods sent her in the wrong direction. Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, Tony. And actually the studies do show we tend to be more successful, more accurate when we log our full foods. And that could be just simply writing those down on a piece of paper just so you have a general view of it. Or if you want to get really specific, you can, you can download those apps. You can go to the web portals of all of those specific, things like MyFitnessPal, etc. Yeah, so thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, anyone else with last week's action steps? Okay, yeah. All right, so we got something from Sabrina. She said she has attempted to eat more of your veggies, Yeah, which is definitely one of our fundamentals. Less meats and then add more water. And since she does snack, she finds vegetables and water are more filling. Yeah, those vegetables are filling because they do have the dietary fiber. When you do drink water, with foods that have a lot of fiber, they're going to expand in your stomach and give you a sense of fullness. And also in today's or in the booklet you have on today's topic, it does talk a little bit more about snacking if you want to look at that. Okay. All right, good. So thank y'all for chiming in on that. And that's going to take us to our topic for the day, which is how to meal plan. Now, there are thousands of different YouTube videos, et cetera, documents on how to meal plan. This is one that we just picked out. I think it's about a 9-minute video. So what we're going to do is we're going to watch this video. Of course, this is in your booklet that you can click on and view. And once we do view this video, we will come back and we will recap what she was talking about. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing this screen and I am going to pull up this YouTube video for us to view. Okay. All right, so it's 8 minutes and 46 seconds after it's over. Like I said, I will stop sharing this, go back to our PowerPoint, and then we'll do a review of the video, okay? So enjoy.
Hello everyone out there, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how to get started with meal planning in 6 simple steps. And this video is for you if you are new to the world of meal planning. If you're a bit of a beginner, we're going to go over the basics. Meal planning is something that I've been doing a lot more lately, and it just helps to create so much more ease in the kitchen and around cooking. And meal planning is basically just planning your meals for the week and grocery shopping based on the ingredients that you need for those meals. In a lot of cases, meal planning can help you to save money, can help you to save time, less stress around cooking. So let's dive in. If you are new here, my name is Megan. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist, and I am so happy to have you here. If you're not new, then hello again, and let's get started. Step number 1 is to make a master list of all of your favorite recipes, the ones that you love, the ones that your family loves, that you know how to cook. You can either do this on a piece of paper or like a notebook. That's usually how I do this. I have a little notebook that I use. You can do this on your computer, on your phone, whatever works for you. This is going to really help to make the meal planning process, which we'll get to in a moment, a lot easier because you can refer to that master list, and you can always add to this list. In fact, it's something that I encourage you to do, is to add to this list anytime you try a new recipe that you really like. Write that down as one of, the meals that you really enjoy and that you would definitely, make again and again, so that when you are doing your meal planning, it's not the same thing every single week. And if you need some inspiration for maybe learning some new recipes, then there's tons of different books and blogs that are great. I'll leave some of my favorites linked below. It's also really helpful here to really loosely write down some of your favorite breakfasts, some snack ideas, maybe even some lunch ideas, just so that you will have the ingredients for those throughout the week. Now, I am very loose about this. You just need some general ideas here, especially when it comes to lunch. You can often use leftovers for your lunches, even sometimes with breakfast. But just having a general little idea of some of your favorite snacks and breakfast recipes can be great to have kind of that ongoing list of. Step number 2 is to choose the day of the week that you will be doing your grocery shopping on. So for most of us, I think this tends to be on the weekends, on a Saturday or a Sunday. But if there's another day of the week that just works really well for you, then kind of make that your grocery shopping day of the week. And that way you kind of have that routine and it's consistent for you each week. You really just want to do your grocery shopping on a day when you're not rushed, when you have the time to head out and kind of do your shopping.
Come back and watch football all season long, live and cable-free with YouTube TV. Terms apply. Cancel anytime.
Brief commercials. Stay tuned. Sorry, guys. They have to give us a commercial. By the way, these are very good clothes if you don't have any.
Step number 3 is to take a look at your calendar and just see if you have anything upcoming in the week ahead. Are there any particular activities, anything that you have planned, just so that you know for when you are doing your meal planning, because sometimes things come up and we don't necessarily, need to be cooking every single night of the week, which is something that I want to mention here too, that you don't necessarily have to be like, oh, I have to, cook 7 days a week. This is what my meal planning life is going to look like. It might definitely, obviously cooking homemade as much as possible is one of the best things that we can do for our health, but you also want to have some wiggle room. Sometimes you might have a day or two of the week where it doesn't really work with your schedule that you are cooking from home that night. For example, Sean and I like to have like either Friday or Saturday, sometimes once, even twice a week, where we like to order in, or we will, check out one of our local restaurants. It's something that we really enjoy doing, actually. So just take a look at your schedule, see what's coming up for the week ahead so that you can kind of meal plan around that. Step number 4 is to write out your meals. So this is the actual meal planning part here, where you are actually planning out the meals that you're going to eat for the week. I usually do this on a Saturday morning when I'm like drinking my morning tea. Sean and I will sit down and we will brainstorm. You're going to want to pull out that master list of your favorite recipes and refer to it. And this is the fun part. You can kind of think, oh, what are some things that I want to cook this week? And write them down, maybe just 5 meals for that week. Again, this will depend a little bit on what your calendar is looking like and your lifestyle. But what I will say here is it can be really helpful to write down one extra meal just so that you have some extra ingredients on hand for if you want to switch things up in the week. That's totally fine too. So some examples might be a veggie stir fry, maybe salmon with some veggies and a potato salad, a bean soup, or some kind of stew. Try and include, I would say, at least 1 to 2 meals that can make some really great leftovers. So a type of meal that tends to make quite a lot can be really useful for using as leftovers for lunch, or taking with you the next day, or even eating again for dinner on a different day. Definitely a good thing to do, makes life a lot easier as well. And remember that these meals don't necessarily have to be set on specific days. You can if you want to be really structured and regimented, you can have specific meals for specific days, like Monday to Friday, or on the weekends as well, but you don't have to. You can, what I usually do is I just write down like numbers 1 to 7 or numbers 1 to 5, and I just write down the meal ideas, and then I just kind of keep it rough like that. Step number 5 is to write out your grocery list. So this is the list that you will be writing based on those meals that you have written down, and what are the ingredients that you need for them. It might sound tedious or like it would take a long time, but it really doesn't. It doesn't take long at all. Like I said, this is what I do on a Saturday morning, and I just keep referring back to, what does this recipe need? What does this recipe need? Make sure though that as you go along, you check your fridge and pantry for what you may already have on hand. Something that's really helpful here is to organize your grocery list based on the different sections of the grocery store, so that when you are at the grocery store, you're better able to navigate the store instead of going from the produce section to one of the inner aisles and then the eggs and then back to the produce section, because you've written out just one long list of the ingredients that you need. You can also write down what you need from like specific stores if you need to go to a couple different stores. And step number 6 is to get started with your meals that you have planned out for the week. So what you want to do here is to keep your meal plan that you have written out for the week, all of those meals that you are planning on cooking, keep it handy. Post it on your fridge, or keep it on a shelf somewhere in your kitchen, or just where it's easily visible, so that you can refer to it throughout the week, so that you know what you are making for each night, because you're not necessarily going to memorize what you are making for every meal that week. So just have that list kind of there with you through the week also, so that you can switch things up if you want to. Another thing that you can do here is that when you come home from the grocery store, you're all stocked up. If you want, you could take 30 to 60 minutes to prep a couple of those items, depending on what it is that you have purchased. You don't have to do this. It's definitely optional. Sometimes I like to do this with bunches of kale or melon, where I will just prep the kale, kind of remove the tough stems, chop it up, put it in a container so that it's ready to go for the week. So there's certain foods where this can be kind of helpful to do. You don't have to, but it can come in handy so that you're even more prepared for the week ahead. And that is it. By the time that your designated grocery shopping day approaches again, you should be low on groceries, and the cycle kind of restart. Meal planning helps so much with just cooking throughout the week in general. And like I mentioned, saving time. You don't have to head to the store to pick up, bits and bobs as you go. It's just everything's there ready for you. Helps to reduce waste as well. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video helpful and you took a few pointers and you can hopefully follow through the steps that I listed in this video. But I would love to hear from you if you do meal planning. I would love to hear from you. How do you do it? What's kind of your method? If you have any other tips to share, I would love to hear from you. Leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.
Okay, I am going to stop sharing this video here and let me pull our PowerPoint back up here. Give it just a second to load. And then what we're going to do is we're going to recap what she was talking about related to, meal planning. Okay, so starting off, really describing what is meal planning, and then we're going to look at the benefits of meal planning. Simply, meal planning is just like it says, planning your meals for the week and then grocery shopping based on the ingredients for those meals. Now, what are the benefits of meal planning? Well, number one, it can help you save money and time. Number two, it can help with weight control because you are actually deciding on the specific ingredients that you're using and the portions that are served. The third benefit is it can contribute to more of a nutritionally balanced diet where you're looking at within all those 5 food groups, you're getting the right quality of those food groups. And also, lastly, it can reduce the stress as you avoid that last minute decision about what to eat or rushed preparation. Okay, so that's what meal planning is and the benefits of meal planning. So let's review her 6 steps of meal planning. Number one, she recommends to make a recipe master list of all of your favorite recipes and foods for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner, for snacks, and also your favorite healthier beverages. The second step she talked about of meal planning was choose your grocery shopping day. And this is one that really works for you. It's no specific day that you should grocery shop, whatever works for your schedule. Then the third one is to check your calendar just to see if there's a scheduled event upcoming that might interfere with one or more of your meals. And that's where you then can meal plan around this. The fourth step she talked about with meal planning is to write out your meals. Write out your meals. And this is where you are actually planning your meals for the week. You're going to pick out the day that works for you on writing out your meals. I know, for example, with my wife and I, we like to sit down after work on Friday and write out our meals for the upcoming week. And that's breakfast, lunch, dinner, any snacks. And then on Saturday morning is when we do our shopping. And this is a good time that you can do your habit stacking. Do you remember the second class we talked about stacking habits? Where you take one new habit and you stack it or bring it together with an already existing habit. Just for example, if you are sitting down watching TV on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, that would be a good time to write out your meals. So that would be a reference of habit stacking. Also under this, pull out that master list of your favorite foods and recipes so you can refer to it. Think about your food groups when you're writing out your meals. Think about your fruits, your vegetables, your grains, your proteins, and your dairy products. Also, when you're writing those out, make sure you're thinking about your My Plate tips. Remember, with fruits, they recommend to focus on whole fruits. Vegetables, they recommend vary your vegetables. Grains, they recommend to have at least half of your grains whole grains. Proteins, they recommend for you to vary your protein routine. And also with dairy, they always say to focus on low fat to fat free. So think about those food groups. And also, it's up to you really to set specific meals for specific days of the week. I really recommend doing that as opposed to just having a general idea of meals coming up. That's really up to you. It works more for my wife and I when we set a specific day with specific meals because it can be very helpful for us. Also, she mentioned under writing out your meals was to include 1 to 2 meals that make great leftovers. Okay. Now you can see here on your PowerPoint, you do have like a weekly calendar you can use. You can create your own. There's a lot on the internet that you can use if you want to do that. In your booklet, we have this one from the myplate.gov website that you can use, and it's an editable copy, so you can write in that if you would like. And then the 5th step of meal planning she mentioned is make your grocery list. Make your grocery list. And this is based off the meals that you have written down, the ingredients that are needed. Also, she recommends to check your pantry, check your refrigerator to see if you already have ingredients on hand for making those meals. And she also recommends to list any of things like, fresh, frozen, or non-perishable items. So it doesn't have to be all fresh stuff. It can include frozen and non-perishable items. And of course, you see here on your PowerPoint, in your booklet, you do have this grocery list form in your booklet from the myplate.gov website that you can use if you would like to use that. And then last but not least, under steps of meal planning, she says, get prepping and or cooking with your meals that you have planned for the week, or it can just be for several meals. And I would definitely recommend, as far as meal prepping, I think it's very good to think about quote unquote batch, BATCH, batch cooking. That could be things with your proteins where you could cook a big batch of things like chicken. You could cook a pork tenderloin. You could do the vegetarian route with proteins like beans and peas and lentils, and you can do some batch cooking to last you during the week. Same thing with vegetables. You can batch cook things like green beans, squash, cabbage, sweet potatoes, maybe a medley of vegetables, turnip greens, or other type of dark green leafy vegetables. Same thing with grains. You can batch cook grains like brown rice, like quinoa, things like that. Also, when it relates to maybe fruit, when you think about batches with fruits, that deals a lot with things like melons. So if it's watermelons, cantaloupes, honeydew melons, where you can cut those up in advance and put these in an airtight container. Okay. So again, that's the 6 steps of the meal planning. So does anybody have any questions or comments based off that before we get to our 2 discussion questions? Okay. Well, if you're typing a chat and if it pops up, I will grab it. All right. Which now let's get to our 2 discussion questions. The first one says, are you currently meal planning for the week? If so, what maybe step are you using or steps? So are you currently meal planning for the week? If so, is there some steps that you're using? If you want to, you can just say, yes, I'm meal planning. If you want to get a little bit more in depth, you can say, yes, I'm meal planning and I'm using these few steps. Again, you can chat, you can unmute your mic.
Well, this is Patty. I keep
Hey, Pat.
saying I'm going to meal plan, but then something comes up and I end up not doing it. So I haven't gotten myself disciplined enough yet, but that is my plan.
Okay. All right. Well, good. So at least you have a plan to do it. So hopefully this week you can get disciplined enough to write that out. So thanks for sharing. Anyone else? Okay. Well, let's go to the last question. It says, are you currently meal prepping for meals, sides, or maybe both? Okay, are you currently meal prepping for your meals, your sides, your both? If you are, is there certain things that you're meal prepping? Okay, and Tora responded to that last question. She said she needs to do the same as Patty. Well, y'all, this is going to be a great opportunity this week to do that, because next week when we start the class and we look at your success, we're going to see how some meal planning and or prepping went. So that'll be a great opportunity to hopefully get you to meal plan this week. Okay, Carrie said meal prepping is the best. It's time consuming, but it really works. And I agree with you 100%, Carrie. My wife and I, we do meal prepping on Sunday afternoons. Yes, it does take some of our time, but it removes a tremendous amount of stress out of the upcoming week. Plus, we're eating more healthy, more nutritious meals when we're doing that. Yeah. So anybody else wants to respond if you're currently meal prepping? If so, would you like to mention what you're meal prepping? Or you can just say, yes, I'm meal prepping. Okay, Sabrina said, unfortunately, she does not meal prep, which is fine. You're not required to meal prep, but I do shop for the week ahead for meals. She's thought ahead, and she does not like meal prepping because my tastes are fickle. Yeah, so whatever works for you. In your life. Yeah, so thank y'all for sharing that. Anyone else? Okay. Well, which takes us to your action steps for the week. And your action step or steps is to determine how you can incorporate meal planning steps and or meal prepping into your weekly routine. So like Patty said earlier, like Tora had mentioned, as far as meal planning, I think this is going to give you a great opportunity to move ahead with doing that prepping, so next week we can check on that action step. Same thing with meal prepping. If you want to do some meal prepping as well, it would be a great opportunity for you. And of course, don't forget about the application of all of your fundamentals. Remember, that's using the guide to smart food choices to help you select the lower calorie foods within all the 5 food groups. Again, you can use that snapshot guide, or you can do the specific calculations for specific foods. Also, 64 ounces of water a day, at least 5 servings of fruits and veggies a day, making sure you're using the My Plate tips and you're controlling portions for your proteins, your grains, your dairy. If you are using meal replacements, 1 but no more than 2 a day. And then your physical activity is 30 to 60 minutes per day. Anything that gets you moving counts. Okay, so that's the week's action steps. And next week's topic is going to be a combination on how to navigate a grocery store and food labels, reading food labels. And I know last time when we did the original Go Healthy class, we looked at reading food labels, but we're going to do another recap of that. Okay. And then last but not least, again, next Wednesday morning, I will send everybody, or next Tuesday morning, I will send everybody the tracker for next week. So any questions or comments before we go for the day? And thank you. And by the way, I did record this. And so once we do get this recording converted over to YouTube, I will send it out to everybody.